Hello and good afternoon. I hope you are well. Um, this is going to be a 45-minute lesson regarding regarding emails and writing emails for work, in particular to apply for a job in English. So that is going to be what this lesson is about. Now, again, like the last lesson, I am going to speak at this speed. I don't want to speak too quickly, and I don't want to speak too fast. Sorry, I don't want to speak too slowly, and I don't want to speak too fast. So I will speak as I am. I am just going to share this with online so more people can join. Okay. Okay, so we now have 4 people. And thank you for joining. Marcella, hi, welcome back. I still need to go outside today. I think after this, I'm going to go outside. I'm going to go outside and I am going to enjoy the sun. I'm going to go up to onto my roof, onto the terrace. I think I'll enjoy the sun and try and do some exercise. I really need to do some exercise. Maria, hello again. Yes, you too. Maria, hello. Thank you so much for joining. We're now up to 7 people. I'll just give it a couple of more minutes and then I shall begin giving people the chance to join. I know that in this past hour, I have enjoyed my break and I have a cup of tea. And on my mug, because this is a mug in English, this is a mug, I have a bear. And that's a nice thing. Everyone likes bears. Well, as long as they're not attacking you. So, yeah, a few more seconds and then we'll begin. In this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and save what I write and put in the comments section underneath the video in terms of the structures that I want to use. We're going to look at being able to write an email to apply for a job vacancy. And we're going to do it in different ways, be it either we know the person to whom we write, or if just in case we don't know the intended, the specifically the name of the intended recipient. Okay, and I'll explain to you what I mean by that. Okay, so first of all, yeah, we can begin. There's enough people. So I use this term, intended recipient. This means the person to whom you write, or though not correct, but the person you are writing to. So we've got a couple of ways of yeah. Let's go with that one. I think that's easier to understand. The person you are writing to. That is what we mean by the intended recipient. Okay, the person you are writing to. So we'll have a little look at how this can make a difference. It's important to remember that when writing an email, you need to be formal. So you need to write the full words. So instead of writing haven't, have not. Instead of writing wouldn't, would not. Instead of writing I'd, you would write I had or I would, for example. So you don't want to contract your language. So let's begin. Now, when you write an email to your for a job interview, okay, it's important to remember that this is called a cover letter. Okay, cover letter. This is a letter or email that you write to apply for a job interview. So that's the first thing that we need to know. It's called a cover letter, cover email, cover letter. Okay, important language. Okay, the first word is apply for. You apply for a position. Okay, you apply. I'll write the whole thing. You apply for a position. That is very important. That's the verb you need to use, apply. Now, other terms that you can use as well, instead of position, you can say, don't forget, you apply for a job vacancy as well. Okay, so job position, apply for a position, apply for a job vacancy. Both are talking about the same thing. Okay, so those are some important terms we need to know. Hello, Joanna. Thank you very much for joining us. So now that we've got that important information out the way, the next thing is, how do we write our email? So our introduction. First of all, if you know the name of the person who is the intended recipient, so if you know the name of the person you're writing to, you can go with Dear Mr. Brown, for example, or Dear Mrs. Brown. Now, with women, if you don't know, if you're not sure if they're married, now probably in this case you don't, it's best to go with this, Dear Miss Brown. So these days, what you can do is, instead of doing MRS or MISS, just go with Dear Ms. Brown. Dear MS Brown, capital M, small s. This is a good idea. It is polite, and it doesn't matter if the person is married or not. No problem. So I would say, and I would encourage everyone, if you know you're writing to a woman, go with Dear Ms. Brown. Likewise, you can go with Dear Mr. Brown if it's a man, and it doesn't matter if they're married or not. Now, the next thing we need to ask ourselves, what if we are writing to, let's say we don't know the name. Well, in the past, you might have said, well, can we write Dear Sir, Madam? And the answer is yes. In the past, people used to do this. I should say it should be Dear Sir, Madam. Don't forget capitals. Now, in the past, people would do this. And it's not to say people don't do this anymore, but it's probably not as common. It's not usually it's not as common, but you can still do it. Now, the other option that you can do, if you don't know the name of the person who should be reading your email, your cover letter, you can go with to whom this may concern. That is your other option. Now, quite simply put, if you put dear and then you put the name, or sir, or madam, okay? If you go with this, the end of your email, end of the email, you need to end with kind regards. That's UK English. If you end with regards, that's more likely to be US English, if I'm being totally honest. But nonetheless, that's an important, I would say that's pretty important to know. So I would say make sure you include that. It's important to know the differences. What else? Yes, I think that covers that most important thing, and that's how you can keep things fairly formal and polite. So let's go and look at the next thing. What if you end with, what if you're going with to whom this may concern? Well, if you start off with to whom this may concern, okay, concern, you end your email with yours faithfully, and then your name. Now, yours faithfully simply means that you are writing with honesty. So yours faithfully means writing with honesty, or I have written with honesty. So that is the beginning and the end structures you need to know. Now, the next bit. How do you start an email in a cover letter? Well, it's important to be able to introduce yourself and introduce the topic and nature of your email and the position you are applying for as well. So I'm now going to give you an example. Right. So this is how you can start off. Oh, no, don't write that. I forgot something. Whoops. Delete. So you can start off by saying, I'm writing with regard to the sales assistant position advertised on LinkedIn. So what we're doing here is state that you're writing, and with regard, now you can go with either with regard or regarding, okay, the subject of your email. So this is where you need to go, for instance, regarding, and then you need to state the job, the name of the job position. Okay, so that is what you can do. You can introduce your name and stuff before, but don't forget your name is also coming at the end of this email anyway. Hi, Richard. Can I explain my intention to apply for a job directly in the email, or necessary, I have to write a formal cover letter? Can I explain my intention to apply for a job directly, or necessarily have to write a formal cover letter? Okay. The way this works, Andrea, is that when you write a cover letter, you include your CV. You include your CV in the email. And you do this at the end. I will get to that of how you do that. The important thing is the nature of what you're going to put in the cover email. You don't want it to be a really long email. You want it to be quite direct, and you want to say the most important things, and to make sure you have your CV or your resume attached to the email. So this is now the next bit. So we've just done how you can introduce. I'm writing with regard to the sales assistant position advertised on LinkedIn. Next bit, you then need to give, so once you've done your introduction, okay, which is a single sentence, now you go into the body. Okay, so you're writing, so next bit, let's say you're a sales assistant. You then have to state briefly your experience, such as, I have worked in sales. I've worked in sales for the last 10 years, and in various, because various means different, industries, as well as a decade of experience. I also I am also let's go with the word thrive. I'll explain what that means. Do really well. Competitive and social working environment. Okay, this is the first part. I'm just now going to write, so I'm just going to post the first part, okay, of all this. I've said for the past decade, the last 10 years. Let's go with, we'll change this to furthermore. Nope, still comes up the same thing. So what, we'll split this in two. How about that? So first of all, you go with, I have worked in sales for the last 10 years and in various, meaning different industries. So this is the first thing. In your body of your email, you need to state your, you need to give an idea of your, give an idea of your experience. Now that is pretty important. That's the first thing you need to do. You need to give an idea of your experience. Now the next bit, as well as a decade of experience. Oh gosh, nope, I made a mistake there. As well as a decade of experience, I also, now this word here, thrive, okay? Thrive is to do really well, really well. I also, as well as a decade of experience. So here you're just confirming, you're just saying again, talking about the amount of time you've been doing a job. I also thrive in a competitive and social working environment. So what are we doing here? You then need to state what you are good at in terms of the environment. So here you can talk about the environment of a workplace and try to link it, if you can, to their company and what they're known for example. I also thrive in a competitive and social environment. So you're saying that, okay, I know that your sales, your company is known for having a competitive sales environment, and it's also sociable, and I'm a good fit for your team. So here you're saying that your personality is going to be good for the job position. And then third, you need to state what you say, actually say what you bring to what you can bring to the team. Okay, so this is where you can then say, I have an excellent sales record. You could say I have an excellent sales record, and I have expertise in social media sales. Okay, so just to give you an idea, expertise. Okay, when we say expertise, it means specific skills that are important. So I have an excellent sales record. So again, talk about what you've done very briefly. And I have expertise, meaning a specific skills that are important. And I have expertise in social media sales. So briefly, you've got the following of your introduction, stating what job are you applying for. So that's number one. Then you've got body of the of your essay. Okay. First bit, you're stating, giving an idea of your experience and time. Two, you then want to talk about why you would work well. Why you'd work well for that company. So, e.g., talk about the working environment, for example. Then number three, you talk about your specific skills. And those are the three parts to your email. And then you finish off with this. So number four, you finish off with this. I have attached my CV to this email, and I look forward to the possibility actually, here we go. I have attached my CV to this email, and I look forward to the possibility of now here you can go one or two ways. You can either say arranging an interview or the possibility of working for you, or you can leave it as, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Okay, you've got a few ways of ending that bit. Okay, I have attached my CV to this email, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. And then you finish off with the end, like kind regards. So with your middle section, okay, your body, you've got intro, you've got three parts to your body, so 3 paragraphs, and then you've got the fourth paragraph where you mention your CV, and then that's it. Now, I have attached simply means you have put your CV with the email. You have put your CV in with this email. Okay. So, over to you guys. What I would like you guys to do is I would like you to have a go at trying to write a CV, a cover email or a cover letter for a job that you might apply for. Now, it's important that you're writing to me, so you can start off by writing, "Dear Mr." Let's call me R for now, okay? For Richard, dear Mr. R. You go with the surname. You go with the surname, by the way. So here we go. Here's my surname, for example. So you can write to me with with my surname. And then you need to introduce what you're writing about. Okay, one more question from Andrea. What do you think is the most important that you have to include in the cover letter? I mean, what cannot miss? Okay, quite simply, the following things in order. One, the job you are applying for. Two, state your experience and what skills you bring and why you would be a good match for the company. So in a nutshell, so summarized, these are the two things you need to say. You need to make sure you state very clearly the job you are applying for, and you need to state your experience, what skills you bring, and why you would be a good match for the company. Those are the most important things you need to say. You don't want to write long and long and long emails. No, 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 no. We have to think of how people work. So, for instance, if you write for instance, your cover letter might be to a recruiting company. It could be to the HR department, human resource management department. But when you when you write an email, you need to think, okay, the person who's going to read this might receive many job applications a day. I want my email to be easy to read, quick, and then I want my CV to do the talking. And that's the important thing. Your CV is what does the talking at the end of the day. Your cover email is just to get them to open your CV. So that's what you need to think about. Your cover letter needs to make them want to open your CV. And that's the most important thing. So I invite you guys to try and write a cover email to me now in the live chat section. You're writing to dear Richard, so dear Mr. and my surname, which I've put over there. So because you know what my name is, it's important you finish off with kind regards and then your name. Remember, state the reason why you're writing. The job application, what skills you bring, your experience, very briefly, and why you will be a good fit for the company. This is where you need to show that your social ability, your working ability is right for the company. So, for instance, if you know that, let's say you know that the company, that it's a people-orientated company, so people are important, then you need to show and you need to try and say that you are good with people. If you know that the company's focus is not with people but more with computers, you need to show that you need to try and explain that you are good with computers in some sort of way. You have a good relationship with the computers. If it's a particular product, for example, in sales, then you need to show that you have a good understanding of the product that company sells. You might want to, now don't forget, you're already writing in English, so they will be able to see how well you can write. Um, if you want, you can. Don't forget, on your CV. You will say what your level of English is. But if you want to also mention that, for instance, something relevant, like you've recently finished improving your English by going to Malta or going to wherever, or you have recently done an IELTS exam or any type of thing like that, put it in. If you recently did an exam and you have the qualification, mention it. That's important. So let's see what you guys write. Again, you're writing to me and you are applying for a job of your choice in your field. So don't forget, you're writing Dear Mr. and my surname, which you can see over here in the live chat. And look through the live chat. You will be able to see some of the examples that I have written as well. It's important, by the way, when you say the job name, it's useful to say how you found the job in the first place. Like, what website did you find it on? That is important, and I do suggest you do that. Okay, right. I know it's going to take a bit of time, so I'll just let you guys work on that. This is what I'm going to need to do. Yeah, we need that. I'm just going to make sure I've got all the information saved, so later on in the comments section, I can still put these things in. There we go. Okay, right. I've got the most important information saved. Now we can continue looking at emails next week as well. Next week, later on, or probably more likely tomorrow, now I will post, more likely tomorrow actually. I will post the nature of the lessons next week, but I can tell you from now, every day next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I will give a lesson at 4 o'clock, and we will tackle a particular skill set. We will have we'll have looks at how to write different types of things as well, different type of emails, different type of speaking environments. We will have a look at all that. So we will have a lesson every day in the afternoon next week. As well as, don't forget, please check your timetable if you haven't already. You should have received links in your emails to join your Zoom lessons next week as well. So I'm sure some of you are trying to write an example of a cover letter. Please do. It'll then give me the chance to see what you guys have written, and I can help you. I can give you some useful feedback as well. I mean, sometimes you might be thinking, well, does it help if I write my cover letter in my first language and then I translate it to English? Yes, that's not a bad idea, because it means you know what you want to write. The only thing is, you need to make sure that when you do translate it back, well, when you translate it into English, you are thinking in English and not your first language. You want to make sure that in the cover letter, because you have time to think, that your English is as good as it can be. I mean, to put it this way, how good can your English be? Well, your English can be, let's say, your English can always look better than you might think it is, as long as you sometimes, in many ways, keep things simple. Don't try to overcomplicate your email. So Hario has gone for it. Dear Richard, I have worked in sales and marketing areas for the last 7 years. I have an excellent sales record and I have expertise in marketing and customer service. Good start. Stand out for being a strategic leader, enthusiastic, hard worker, self-motivated, resourceful, and excellent interpersonal relationships. Excellent at or excellent when it comes to interpersonal relationships. It's just got, we just need to think of the preposition there. I've attached my CV to this email and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Regards, Hario. So Hario, that is a really good email. And if that were your cover letter, really good. There's just one thing I would like to point out, and that is before, at the start, where you say, I have worked in sales and marketing, you don't need to put areas. I have worked in sales and marketing for the last 7 years. Before you go in with that, you need to state what job you're applying for. What's the position? So, for instance, is it a marketing manager? Is it a marketing and sales director? Is it marketing and sales assistant? That is what you're missing. You're just missing the title of the job you are applying for. But other than that, that is a very good email, and I think that would certainly work well. Your middle bit, stand out for being a strategic leader. Okay, here you just need the pronoun. I stand out, or I have stood out in the past, for example. You could play around with the tense. I'm a standout. I stand out for being a strategic leader, enthusiastic, hard worker, self-motivated, resourceful, and excellent at interpersonal relationships. Yes, that would be good. The one thing I would say is, you've given a good number of examples there, which is good. You don't want to give too many because then it just goes on and on. But I like what you've written there. So with the exception of the odd mistake, now when I say the odd mistake, I mean the occasional mistake. The odd mistake here, when I say the odd mistake, I mean the occasional mistake. So you haven't made a lot of mistakes. It's just the odd mistake, meaning you've made just 1 or 2 mistakes. So with the exception of the odd mistake, that is an excellent that's really good. So well done, Hario. Andreas, dear Mr. I am writing with regard to the clinical engineer position advertised on LinkedIn. I have worked on clinical engineering and engineer. I've worked on clinical engineer. Do you mean as a clinical engineer or on a particular thing with regarding to engineering? Just make sure that's regard to the clinical engineer. This is the title of a position. So what you want to say, I've worked as a, I have worked as a, and then job title. Okay. So I've worked as a clinical engineer and hospital architect in hospital architecture fields. Now this is it. When you the preposition for a field, okay, a field of engineering, for example, the preposition is in, and then you state the field of work. Okay, so I've worked as a clinical engineer in hospital architect in the hospital architecture field. You don't need the S, for the last 10 years. Okay, so you're doing well. I also thrive in being a link between doctors and engineers. Wow, good sentence. I have attached my CV to this email and I look forward to hearing from you. Best regards, Andres. Okay, overall, Andres, I think that's a really good email. I think if you go with something like that, again, there's the odd small mistake, but if you go with that level, that kind of email, that's really good. It's not too long and it's punchy. Clinical engineer and hospital architecture. Clinical engineer. I would say clinical engineer in the hospital architecture field, possibly. Now, I don't know enough about clinical engineering and hospital architecture, but if it's the title of the job, clinical engineer. Now, you've said actually two fields when I read clinical engineering and hospital architect. So, I have worked in both clinical engineering and hospital hospital architecture fields. Okay, now I understand you a little bit better. I've worked in both clinical engineering and hospital architecture fields. Yeah, if you go with that, I have, and then you go with that sentence, that would be very good. It would work very nicely. So, Andres, well done. I think overall that's a good email. If you make those small changes, I think it's going to look. I think that's going to be good. That is Rich. That's Richard. Thank you. Okay, good, excellent. Marcella has put an N. Maybe there's something else coming. I'm not sure. The time for this lesson is nearly up. We're nearly up. So if you want to get your email in, you've got just under 5 minutes left. So far to both Jario and Andres, well done. I think both of you have written good emails as cover letters. I would save that, make the odd change that I mentioned, but that's good stuff. Keep that saved. So Marcella, dear Richard, you don't forget to use the person's surname, like Mr. Brown or Mr. Farrow, for example. I am writing with regard to apply for a job vacancy in sales manager advertised on LinkedIn. So the only change here I would make is I'm writing with regard to the job title. I am writing with regard to the job vacancy as sales manager that is advertised. So I'll just make the small changes here for you because there's a lot of good stuff here. By the way, considering your level, I think there's a lot of good stuff here. I'm just going to make the small little changes you need. I am writing. Oops, sorry, I've got too close to the camera. I'm writing with regard to. Yeah, the sales. Ooh, what am I doing? The sales manager position, advertise or job or vacancy for that matter. You could go with vacancy, either one. That is advertised on LinkedIn. Okay, so I would just make those small changes to that one. I've worked in sales. Now again, if you're going to name the job title, I have worked as a sales manager. However, if it's a job title, I have worked as a. I have worked as a, and then you put the job title. If it's the field, then you would say I have worked in, and then you name the field of work. e.g., in this case, the field would be sales. So, I've worked as a sales manager for 8 years in different companies. Okay, that's good. As well as experience in competitive, stress, and social working environment, I have a okay, right. I see what you've done here. I feel like you are going to say just something a little bit more there because you used as well. So as well as experience in competitive and stress and social working environment. Oh, I see what you've done. Here, this is what we need to do. As well as having experience in a competitive working environment, I am. We go. I'm going to use something here that we looked at. Maybe I am used to working in a here we go. Okay, so this is the next bit. Here you want to say, as well as having experience in a competitive working environment, I'm used to working in a stressful and social environment. So that's how you can just change it. I have attached my CV to this email, and I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. Don't forget, I look forward to hearing from you in the near future. So those are the changes you need to make. But Marcella, really well done. I think you've got a good foundation there to work from. Just have a look at my changes, at my suggestions. But I think you've done really well. So if you make those changes and save, then feel free to send it or share it with your teacher next week. But there's a lot of good stuff there. There's a lot of good stuff. So Sandra, you were going to write something, but you've taken it away. Okay. So guys, I tell you what, Sandra, if you want me to look at anything, feel free to post. But I'm going to the session is. We've gone over time, but the session is going to. I'll end the session in about 3 minutes, so it will be about 50 minutes in the end. So, dear Richard, I'm okay. Maria, hello, Maria. Dear Richard, I'm writing with regard. It's either with regard. You've got two choices: with regard or just regarding. We can't mix the two. With regard to the beautician position, I worked for the last 9 years ago. I have a lot of knowledge and experience. I love my job. I would like to work in your company. Kind regards. Okay. The only thing I would say is you don't need to go. I worked for the last. Okay, so with regard to the beautician, here you want a present perfect. I have worked in the industry for the last 9 years. That's what you want to say there. The rest of it's pretty good. So well done, Maria. You have a good foundation for you to work from. So really well done. There's some good stuff there. Just make the changes that I have suggested, and you will have a good platform to work from. Okay, guys, we're coming to the end. Sandra, feel free to share with me, but the session will end very soon. If I end the session before you post, feel free to share in the comments section. In the comment section below the video, and I will get around to looking at it as well. So guys, thank you so much. Well done to all of you who participated. It's not easy to do this sort of thing, but you all did really, really well. So well done. Thumbs up to you guys. For those of you who may not have written anything, thank you for watching. And it's always good. Richard, could you say again? The word is thrive. Thrive. Here we go. I'm going to include the link to the dictionary so you can see the word yourself in terms of the dictionary terms. But if you thrive, it means you're going to be very successful. You are very successful in what you do. So really well done there, guys. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you for watching. Even if you didn't participate, thank you. Please like and share the video. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And if you know anyone who is thinking of learning English, please share our channel with them. You're welcome, Maria. Have a nice weekend. Same to you, Joanna. Have a nice weekend. You too, York. Have a nice weekend. Happy Easter to everyone as well. So, guys, I will see you next week. I will be live every... you're welcome, Marcella. Thank you. I will be live every day next week at 4 o'clock, and we will tackle different things. Don't forget to check your timetables about Zoom, your Zoom lessons in the morning next week. And I will, maybe tomorrow, you should, over the weekend, you should see the YouTube timetable for next week. So thank you so much, guys. Bye for now.